I'm just flabbergasted at how poor a season they're having. David Gray, as we speak, is still in situ as Hibs manager. You guys will get these emails every day as well, though, from PR companies touting the next odds of the next manager and what have you. I've had one today. It appears we're at that stage. The name's been thrown about. Damien Duff. Apparently he's the 64 favourite at the minute. Robbie Keane at 74. Stephen Robinson. I mean, Mick, do you see any way David Gray turns this round from here?
I think he's in a big bother because the people above him might offer up a sacrificial lamb. And at some point, are we going to accept the point that there's problems at Hibs that go way beyond the dugout?
Yeah.
I mean, David Gray, listen, Hibs fans idolise David Gray. Nobody wants him Hibs to fail. And I think even they recognise that the problems are way beyond his department as well. Listen, it's not been great. I remember I seen him in the first few weekends of the season, and I think I thought this team's in big bother because they can't defend. I mean, they're defending. The centre defence is terrible, and now they're struggling to score goals as well. It's a deadly combination. They're big bother, and as always, the manager's the one that cops it. And I have no doubt at some point after the next bad result, they might bring David Gray's time to an end and look for yet another manager. But how many managers are they going to go through now before they admit that the problem lie upstairs? I mean,
yeah, but they're not going to blame themselves.
That's the problem.
But the real problem they've got, Mick, is take a look at the league table, because there's no sign, and it would be disastrous for Hibs to drop out of the top flight again.
Yeah.
Now, if David Gray was sitting and okay, results weren't great, but he's in the mix, he's mid-table. But the fact is, they've sunk to the bottom of the league, and they're now sinking without a trace, and that will inevitably lead to a decision getting taken, because they can't go on like this, knowing that the trapdoor's beneath their feet. I said last night, I hope that he gets through this international break. I hope that they don't pull the trigger on him. And I think his next game is against Dundee. Difficult because Tony Docherty will,
Well, every game's difficult for Hibs at the moment.
Every game is difficult.
It's a problem they've got, and it's you just think, but how many managers are going to churn up at this minute? And they're churning up young managers with a wee bit of potential in them, and they're burning them because the things aren't right behind the scenes. The recruitment has been woeful, wasting fortunes on dross that aren't good enough,
and it is very unclear as to who's getting the final say on recruitment there as well.
Yeah,
who's in charge of it? Who's actually deciding?
Yeah,
which player gets brought in, because they've actually downgraded across a whole bunch of positions.
Yeah,
they're starting
spent money in downgrading as well. They've wasted money on players that aren't good enough.
Centre of defence is hopeless compared to what it was.
Yeah.
So they're actually regressing.
They've got major problems. I mean, you mentioned relegation and all that stuff, and that's the reason why the manager eventually will cop it, because they might think that a quick fix is the way to do it, and it's getting to that stage, well, rightly or wrongly. But until they fix things behind the scenes and get things in place that support a manager rather than leave them exposed, they're going to continue to have problems.
Yeah, I think the other thing is, Mick, as well, I was saying last night, I think there's something like 15 players leaving the club at the end of the season, either returning at the end of a loan spell or out of contract. Now, where's the commitment inside the dressing room? Because David Gray can't seem to get these players motivated enough to go out there and put in a performance. That's a huge concern.
Because they're not going to championship next season.
You're stuck with these players now, and you're right.
Yeah,
they do they care? Are they that bored if Hibs go down? Because they'll be away anyway. And that's a huge concern for me.
They've got a seriously difficult spell. I mean, January is going to be absolutely massive because they really need to shore it up. Because I think I said that right from the start, they're in big bother.
Difficult enough to attract players in January. If you got how you selling it? If you're saying there's every chance that we could be playing in the second tier of Scottish football, but in 6 months' time, it becomes a really hard sell.
Yeah, I mean, you flip it. I mean, Hibs are a great club. They've got a support that's there. I'm talking about Rangers fans wanting a bit of entertainment. If Hibs start winning games, they'll come out in big numbers and they'll get right behind them. They're desperate to get a bit of joy back in their game as well. I mean, you look back a few seasons when they had them under Neil Lennon and Jack Ross had them third in the league, getting the cup finals and all that stuff. I mean, the decision to get shot at Jack Ross at that point, look back hindsight, talk about sliding door moments.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're like, in the name of goodness. And since then, it's been a non-stop disaster. But there's plenty of potential there, and they've got the backing now as well. They've got a bit of investment behind the scenes. That's what's going to change things, I think, as well. Because at some point they're going to lean on that and start listening to advice from guys that maybe know what they're doing. Which at some point they're going to have to. I think Malky Mackay's got a big job now as well. I mean, he's only getting in the door in the summer.
Do you think Malky fancies becoming manager?
Well, there's always that thought that he might want to go back in the dugout at some point, which I think it's a bit unfair on David Gray. It's a horrible position he is in now, because there's a manager who's kind of above him, and you get a position of power. And we're told before, when he took the job, that his job is to get behind the scenes things fixed and sort that out. And we'll not see the evidence of that yet.
No.
I mean, we need to see that pretty quickly. I think Malky has got a good network of people he knows in the game. So in January he could be useful in terms of recruitment. But they need help pretty soon. Does that mean Malky in the dugout? I don't know. Hibs fans, are they going to accept that as well? I mean Malky gets sacked by Ross County. Done all right there for a while. Are they going to accept that at this point in time? I don't know.